Hey, Goat Knucklers, this is Flo, and welcome back to another Go Knuckle Talk with Flo. Hey, before I introduce my co host, I want to remind everyone when you're on the YouTube channel, please subscribe. Also, hit that notification bell, like the video, and leave a comment. So, Lisa, my co host, how happy Friday. I don't
Happy
have a drink, but I have water. Happy hour, Friday. Oh,
have
you got a drink.
fruity drink.
Mm-hmm. Happy Friday. So, uh, before I introduce these lovely guys, who's our sponsor for tonight?
We have some lovely sponsors tonight, American Overhead Doors, and they happen to be here, the owners. So I'm going to turn it over to them so they can tell us about their business. And also, we want to thank you profoundly from our hearts for sponsoring this program that is so
Absolutely.
special to us and for your part in helping bring, part of our community together. So I'm going to hand it over to American Overhead Doors.
Oh, I thought you were going to talk. See how he does me, Flo?
So, how many years have you guys been?
Yes, I was going to say, I'll say that because he never can remember. We've been in business 38 years and we've always worked together. We've been married 45, so we always think that's doubling the marriage since we've worked together forever. But we do residential and commercial and specialty doors. And if you want to tell them about the high lifts and docks and things like that.
We do dock work. So anywhere there's a dock and a door and seals, high-speed doors. Go to car dealerships, you've seen some of the splash doors when you drive up in your car, they open, you drive in and the door closes without anybody touching them. We do those kind of doors. We are probably 90% commercial. And the most dangerous thing that we've ever done is living with Geraldine. I took my shirt off and showed you all the lashes I have.
But they're deserving. They're all deserving.
But a simple business, thank y'all for having us.
Yes, thanks.
Well, cool. That's cool. You mentioned the speed doors. I'm in construction out of Houston, and we do the steel miscellaneous metals for apartments, and these podiums are being built. We used to do California gates, but now a lot of them in the garages are going to those speed doors. So I know exactly what you're talking about. So anyway, Lisa, who are our guests tonight on a Friday happy hour night?
Yes, Arlen Thompson, wave at us so our viewers know who you are. Thank you.
Big A.
So I'm going to introduce you and then I'm going to go back and ask you the first question. So Arlen Thompson and Bobby Ketchersid. And Bobby, who is this lovely lady standing behind you?
Well, this is my wife, Dana Ketchersid.
Okay.
We're about to go on. We're on our 45th and 41st anniversary at the end of this.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. That's wonderful.
And she's from the big herd.
Yeah.
And was it Tech Twirler?
That's
nice.
Wonderful. I love these long marriages. Okay, well, so Bobby, we know you guys all graduated in '76, bicentennial year.
Yes.
What position so where do you live right now? And then what position did you play in high school?
We're in Lubbock, Texas, and I guess it depends on what year. My freshman year, I was playing quarterback and defensive cornerback. My junior year, I was playing quarterback and some running back and defensive back. And then my senior year, quarterback and defensive safety.
Awesome. And Arlen, how about you? Where are you living and what positions did you play?
I live in Denver, Colorado, actually a suburb called Littleton. And I started out freshman as a quarterback and then devolved into a tight end as a sophomore and then continued to de-evolve. And I became a center my junior year and I became right tackle my senior year.
Okay, very cool. Dan.
And don't forget Dan.
I'm not forgetting Dan. Dan, we know where you live.
Yes. Well, my sophomore year, I never started, but I played all the time. So I was just the fill-in guy for the starters. So I played nose guard, right and left guard on offense, and got to play a lot. Just never started. Wasn't good enough.
Yeah, that's not
Okay.
right.
Before we get
Well-
into football questions, I want to know when the three of you became friends.
Who starts that?
Well,
Seventh
hey,
grade,
you know what?
right?
Before you guys
Seventh grade,
answer,
warm
think
up.
about, if I may think about this, I want to say you guys are the youngest classmates who've been on our show. You guys are the youngest. So
Nice.
in '76, did you know an average car was $5,400? Did you
No.
know the gasoline average was 59 cents? And then
Well,
houses
there you go.
were 44,200, and football tickets were $4 to $12, and the Super Bowl tickets were 35 back in '76, and it was our
Wow.
bicentennial year.
Yeah.
It was
Right.
just a while back. So
Yeah, I tell you
Wow.
what, that's all we heard our senior year too. Was we were the bicentennial class.
Yeah, we were the bicentennial, yeah.
If I had $1 for every time I heard that, I'd be a rich man today. They told us that.
well, anyway, back to
But
Lisa's
anyway,
questions.
Dan and I met in elementary class. I mean, you asked that question. We started off first grade together at Hillcrest here in Plainview. Arlen was over at Lake Ridge, Lakeside.
Lakeside.
Yeah, and then we all met up in junior high, seventh grade at Coronado Junior High here in Lubbock, or Plainview, and the rest is history.
Can you
And they
say? Go ahead.
school program.
Can you share any sharing his stories about growing up together before we get to the junior high and high school years? Can you say some? There
Well,
you go. Just spit it out,
uh,
man. Spit it out.
I mean, we didn't meet up until seventh grade, and then I went to Lakeside, and my running buddy was a guy named Jerry Mitchell, who's not here, and he's quite a character. Maybe I should have tried to get him on the show, but that's kind of who I went through elementary school with, was Jerry, and we got into our share of trouble. We made a few trips to the principal's office, and I remember Mr. Kiner swung a pretty mean board. He was a big man, at least to us back then. And I don't know if I should tell this story or not. Anyway, we made a few trips to his office, and we met the Board of Education a few times. So,
Oh wow.
Oh yeah,
You know, I'm gonna have to ask you why. Like, what? Can you give us an instance what happened?
it was so long ago. And I remember, man, I'm scared. I'm scared to tell some of this. I remember there was one day where I think Jerry regretted wearing his pants so tight, and boy, Mr. Kiner lit us up. I can't remember what we did. But
you know, back in the day, and Dan, you jump in here too, but I mean, it was just guys were ornery all the time, and these men that were principals and stuff, they were free swingers with the board, and they had a lot of discipline in the classroom, and we had so much fun. But there was a lot of fun times in there, and they liked to swing the boards at us for fun. It was always made it fun, never a bad thing. But you got in trouble in school, you got it at the field house. We got busted at the field house, and then you had to go home, face mom and dad. So it was like you didn't want to get in trouble. At a certain point, it wasn't worth it. So it was a lot of fun.
What were you guys targeted? I mean, after so many, were they keeping an eye on you guys?
No, they were equal opportunity.
yeah,
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
they believed in the Board of Education. They did.
Oh yeah, hey, it was there. We graduated in '83, so it was still there. There's plenty of boards there.
All right.
Hey, so Arlen, when you got to junior high, did you immediately click with these guys?
I think it took a little while. I think there's a story there. I got a nickname Duck, I tell you, I guess I can go into later how I got that nickname, but I think after that, I kind of won them over, and they liked the nickname Duck, and it evolved into derivatives and variations, Quack Man, Quack, and if I ever got up to have to say something in front of the school, which I had to occasionally, you hear quack, 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 and things like that. So I think eventually we just became friends. There was a movie at the time. Yeah, I haven't gone into how I got that nickname, but there was a movie at the time. It's Coronado with James Coburn named called Duck You Sucker, and that didn't help any. And so I guess I can go into later how I actually got that nickname.
We had a
Well,
lot
but-
of good there.
Yeah.
Y'all talked to Dale Brown. He was, I think, in one of your podcasts I heard, Dale was one of my principals at elementary school at Hillcrest, Dan and I. So, I mean, we had Johnny Peck there. And anyway, Johnny Peck moved to the junior high, so we caught up back with him there. But a lot of good memories in those days. And then in high school, they were all over the place. But it was a lot of fun.
They were strict, but they were honest and they were good to the kids at the school. I believe they honestly loved everybody.
I would agree. They were fair, and I think they cared about everybody.
Yeah.
But he does have more stripes on his backside than Bobby and I.
Combined?
It's a
Combined.
natural tattoo by that board.
So, Dan, when you first met Arlen, what'd you think of him? God, let's be honest.
Hold on, buddy. Hold on.
What a loaded question! Oh my God.
Arlen was a fun guy. Arlen is very intelligent on the genius side. And to me, he was kind of a nerd a little bit, but he was a guy. He wasn't soft. So we picked at him all the time. And they were telling the story earlier about throwing him in a closet with another guy and locking the door, stuff like that. Arlen took that abuse for a long time until he grew up, and then we couldn't give him any more abuse. It changed things drastically. But calling him Quack, I mean, I'm not talking about 10 people saying that. Quack man, quack, quack, quack. It was the whole class.
It was the whole school.
So if he got
Oh,
up
wow.
to do a presentation or whatever in school, it was, 400 kids going quack, quack, quack man and all that stuff. But fun times.
Sounds like you were a really good sport, Arlen.
He was a big, he was a
That's
sucker.
okay. I mean, I guess I could give some justice to the conservative position of peace through strength. I mean, it is true. I mean, when I was younger, I was smaller and fast, and I could outrun most everybody, and so you couldn't catch me to do too much to me. But then I don't know. I just got to be this real big kid, and I just wouldn't. When a lot of people cared to give me too much grief after that.
Good for you.
Good for you.
So, what was there to do back in middle school when you guys were there? I mean, Granada, I assume, was open.
Coronado.
You're talking the good stuff or the bad
The
stuff?
Granada, the movie theater.
Oh, yeah. That was every Friday.
And Friday.
Yep.
Yeah, the Granada was a grand place to go. I mean, it was a beautiful theater. I think they had plays and stuff way back in the day, even in there. But anyway, it's a beautiful theater. I really can't describe it. You'd have to see it, but I just remember the oval roof with the stars and it looked like all the planets and were on it. And
Oh, that's right. The ceiling.
yeah, it was crazy. Yeah.
And the gargoyle.
You know, the gargoyles on the side of the building as you went to your seats. And so, yeah, it was a nice place to go. You know, I mean, I think a lot of small towns had those nice theaters like that.
Yeah, remember the seats were covered in velvet, that really thick
Yes.
velvet, that
Yes.
red velvet, and it had that beautiful carpeting. And it was very
Yes.
Hollywood,
Yeah.
a small West Texas town.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
It had a balcony.
Yeah, it had a balcony.
It had a balcony.
Yeah. I mean, it was quite the place. in
Yeah, it's
Plainview.
quite the place.
But yeah, that was something to do. But you know, there were drive-in theaters. Well, I think we had 2 drive-in theaters here at one time back in
Yeah.
the day. Of course, we couldn't drive at that time, but we were at them a lot of times because they were close to our houses. We could go behind the fences and watch them.
Now, the drive-in theater we had,
And
which I thought we just had.
Sitting over here was twin something. wasn't it?
yeah, it was. We had an Arrowhead. I think that
Was it Arrowhead?
because it wasn't.
Arrowhead Drive-In.
We had the Arrowhead
It's
Drive too. That's where all the high school kids hung out, and that was a big place at the time. But yeah, we had 2. I don't remember what the names of them were, but y'all,
I don't remember what the drive-ins name were.
but yeah,
I don't.
So let's talk about music back in the when you guys graduated. What did you guys listen to? The rock station or disco or country?
yes, and yes. I liked it all. I don't know about you guys.
In elementary, he was in a band. And they was it 4 of you guys?
Yeah, 3.
3 guys. And they'd go on the stage and sing to the, young kids,
It,
us.
it was a sad time in Plainview history when we were on the stage there. That didn't last very long, thank goodness. But anyway, it was a lot of fun.
So I assume you guys had like sleepovers occasionally back then. So what's some of the stuff?
We didn't do much sleeping over, did we?
We had guys over at each other's house, but I don't remember staying at anyone's house particularly.
I don't remember doing it. Yeah.
Who had the Atari game? And you guys had the Atari game?
I didn't.
I think we were too poor to have it.
I didn't have any time for video games.
I don't even think they had. All the games were at the bowling alley. The pinball.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going back. You got to remember back in the '70s, mid '70s, it was pinball machines, and some of those. Yeah. I can't remember all the different games. Most of it was pinball games that people played. So it wasn't real sophisticated during that time yet. That all hit in early.
I think they had one video game that had started out, and I don't know, like Space Invaders. Was that what it was?
Yeah, there's one.
There's like a Space Invader game, and that's about the only video game there was around, and it was on a machine in the bowling alley.
Actually, before that, and this was in your generation, the first one was Pong.
Yeah, it was Atari.
There was
Atari.
Pong.
Yeah, remember you could go to Sears. They had it at Sears, and they had it set up so you could test it out. Tempting all the kids. At Sears on Broadway. Sears.
Okay.
Or one of those stores.
I never had any time for video games. I never played them much.
We were always outside playing. I mean, you hear those stories about the parents just saying, "Go play, stay." We were outside until the sun went down. I mean, it was like your moms would say, when you see the porch light come on, it's time to come home. And so, that was during the baby boomer generation. And I mean, we had kids. If there weren't 4 kids in every house, there were 5. So it was, and a lot of homes. And so it was a lot of kids in the neighborhood. So it was a lot of stuff going on, all kinds of games you could get involved in. So it was truly, an era that, man, it was, we just felt like I feel like we were really blessed in that we were able to grow up during that time, so it's a lot of fun.
Were your parents friends?
No. We lived in separate areas. Arlen was across town. We didn't get to know him, like we said, till our junior high years. Dan was out in the country, and I was on a different side of town as well as from Arlen. So we didn't run around. We had our own kids in our own neighborhoods, and so until we got to junior high, I mean, we weren't hanging out that much.
Okay.
What about let's talk about like Little League or Tiger League. Did you guys play against each other or with each other like Little League?
I didn't play Tiger League, literally.
Well, yeah, we started out sixth grade, full contact football, full pads. We had I think it was called Tiger League. We had 4 teams. There was the San Francisco 49ers, the Dallas Cowboys, the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the Green Bay Packers. I was the quarterback for the 49ers. And which team did you play on?
I was on the Steelers. I was the running back.
He's the running back on the Steelers. And then we had another guy who's not here, Bobby Hall.
I remember Bobby Hall.
Linebacker. What?
I remember Bobby Hall.
Yeah, he was a middle linebacker for the Green Bay Packers, and he was the holy terror back then. I mean, nobody wanted to have to play against him, and I mean, he was big. He could run. He was scary back then.
Yeah, he coached us, I believe. He coached one of the teams, I think, in Tiger League, and he had that red. I think that red. He was redheaded, I believe, and had that
he's
red mustache.
Just big and could run still, and just nobody wanted to go up against him. I didn't want to. And so that's kind of he was the middle linebacker for the Green Bay team.
Okay.
Yeah, Bobby went on to be the president at Wayland Baptist University here in Plainview. He was a long time, employee there at Wayland. So,
and Bobby played beside me when I was a senior, playing tackle. Bobby was the guard right next to me, and Bobby was he was a good running mate. He was a good high school offensive lineman, and it really helps to have somebody next to you that's as good as he was.
Cool.
Makes the game more fun for sure.
It just helps. I mean, it just football is in fact a team sport, and you really don't get anywhere if the team doesn't. And just having Bobby next to me really helped a lot.
Makes it a lot easier on the quarterback.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's a team sport. It is a team sport.
Yes, it is.
So Dan, you didn't play Tiger League. When did you start playing football?
My first football was 7th grade, and hated it. I remember I had never had to run or work. I was a little chubby kid, and I never had to work that hard in my life. And I'm a farm boy. We work. So I can remember after one of the workouts, maybe the first day, second day, that the coaches were trying to prove a point and kill you. My mom drives up in her little car to pick me up, and I get in the car, and she goes, "Well, what's wrong with you?" And I said, "I'm quitting. I'm not playing this game. They're trying to kill you out there. All they do is run you." And I remember, and I would have quit, but my mom said, "If you don't want to go out for football next year, then don't go out. But you will not quit this year. You're not a quitter." And that has always stuck with me. To have a mom do it, you could understand a dad doing it, but my mom was meaner than a junkyard dog.
She was a sweet lady. Hang about for
Oh my gosh. Well, that's a valuable lesson she taught you.
Mm-hmm.
Did you eventually grow to love it?
I did. I loved playing football. Had lots of fun. Again, I was an average ball player, but I did fit in, and made the team. I'll tell this story, and it's more amazing for Arlen than anybody, I think. We went out for varsity ball. There were 6 of us. And as a freshman. So at the end of that football year, then it turns into off season. So we went out for that off season and worked out with the older guys to try to get on the team as sophomores. And it was tough. And we had a coach that was, I feel like, was very abusive. And Arlen had enough. He quit. And so Bobby and I and the other guys said, man, Arlen, you cannot quit, dude. You just can't. It's not you. And so we went to the coach, took Arlen, coach, Arlen don't really want to quit. He goes, well, he quit. And the only way Arlen can come back and play, now we've went through a hard day of workout, or hard 2 hours. The only way that he can come back on this ball team is he's got to run 2,500 yards. So we stayed out there that evening late, cheering him on, get him to run those yards, and he's just dragging, he's puffing and puffing. And he made it.
Rest is history, right?
Yeah.
Rest is history, as they say.
And I think it's more than 2,500.
It could have been.
I think it's more than 25.
It's hard for me to talk about because I know what the guy's been through. And he went and played pro ball.
Wow.
So was that Coach K with that saying his name?
Well, his name started with a
Coach
P.
P.
Coach P is
Follow.
Coach P.
I don't know if we're supposed to mention.
I don't know if we're supposed to talk and say names. I don't know what, how you feel about that one. We
Okay.
He was abusive.
His philosophy just didn't align with frankly how the body worked. His philosophy was just to push it till you dropped.
No
And-
water.
and
Could not
Yeah,
drink
water. Yeah, he's lucky somebody didn't die on him. I'm seriously. I mean, his philosophy was he felt that going without water was a conditioning factor that made your body better, made you tougher. I mean, these people just didn't understand how the body worked, and his philosophy was just to beat you until you collapse. And consequently we won one game the following year. And the guy that was like that was Bear Bryant. Bear Bryant, he's his first year at A&M. And then I in college, I was teammates with a guy whose dad was a Junction boy. I don't know if you guys know who the Junction boys were, but Bear Bryant, his first year at A&M, he took 3 busloads of football players to Junction and just beat the living what out of these guys for I think 10 days. And then so many of them quit. He made it back to College Station with 1 busload. And that was his team. And those guys became known as the Junction Boys. And they wrote a book about it. And,
Wow.
so Bear Bryant was like that. And A&M consequently that year they won 1 game. I mean, they just it just doesn't work. Just beating somebody to death until they drop. The body just doesn't respond to that. That was our coach's philosophy at the time.
What doesn't
Damn.
kill you stronger, right?
Yeah, there you go. Trying to
And you guys were just 14, 15 years old then.
15, 16, yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Well,
you just
I mean, that is a very serious subject matter. I went to college to get my degree in kinesiology, and I'm still in that field. I'm a functional training specialist, and I mean, I do a lot of rehabilitation with people.
Well, you know.
Yeah, I mean, exercise science is medicine. It is.
Absolutely.
And so on a serious note, and I'm going to ask you the question, and if you don't want to answer it, it is okay. There are things that we experience in our youth whether it's sports or through your parents, that it impacts you. It leaves an indelible imprint. And some of those experiences can be very traumatic. Would you care to allude to, did that experience traumatize you, or did it make you just a lot stronger, or a combination of both? I mean, because by you telling, I mean, your retelling of the story is quite impactful.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I mean, I want to know how that impacted you. I mean, it hurts my heart hearing it, knowing what I do for a living, and how wrong that approach is. So wrong. And like you said, the human body is not made that. I mean, there's so much science behind, proper nutrition and rest and hydration and, all that sort of thing. And that line of thinking was just so off base. If you study anything about performance and athletes, you've got to do all the right things for the athlete to really shine and for him or her to do their best. And that experience stripped you of that. And I want to know how it impacted you mentally, emotionally.
I would have considered that traumatic, and if it had continued, I would not have turned in or blossomed into the athlete I did. I doubt I would have gotten a scholarship anywhere. I doubt I would have had the size of the ability to play. And I think I probably would have quit again. I think I just would have went on to something else.
For me, I never looked at it as being traumatic. I mean, I think it was a different time. I think, there's probably a lot more research that goes into those things now and has been there for some time. But back in that time, I think the men were probably a little harder, and you just ponied up. And I think that's what we all ended up doing. You just got through it. And personally, I think I came out of it stronger as a person. I didn't like it either. Don't get me wrong. But I think for the camaraderie, I think it built a lot of character there, whether you like it or not. The way that it happened, I think that we grew as probably men. Anyway, so personally, I didn't ever feel traumatized by it. I didn't like it, but I didn't know any better.
I didn't know any different. I just thought that's the way it was. One of his programs, other than running, and we had to do a figure eight. That's where three guys get on the ground and one guy jumps over the other to do that. You did that till your arms couldn't stand up. Well, we at the back of Bulldog Stadium, we climbed a rope to the top of the stadium, and the rope was
What?
1.5 inches. I don't think it was 2-inch diameter, but you had to get on that rope and you had to climb to the top. Of course, there's some people that can't do that, but you're pushed and shoved to get up that rope. And that was I don't remember lifting that many weights under him and all that to get the strength. But dude, we could take off today and run to Lubbock and back and not even breathe hard because we were in that good a shape. We just didn't know our football plays. We didn't know how to win, but we could run and we could do
You didn't have the strength at that point in time. You wouldn't have had the strength to match up some of the better athletes. The way it was set up is you went from station to station to station. One station was what Dan said. You did a bunch of mat agility drills, one of which was jumping over each other in a figure eight pattern. And then they had others. And you did that for 15 minutes and then you blew a whistle. Then you ran to the other station where you had ropes at the top of the you would climb the rope up to the top of underneath the Bulldog Stadium. And then you blow a whistle, and then you go to another station where you ran 225s, and then you blow a whistle, and you go to another station where you're doing speed weights. You're going from station to station to station doing speed weights, and oh my gosh, I think I threw up after every session. Literally, I'm serious.
I think that we went through a period probably we were talking about this earlier, guys, that probably from about the mid late '60s. The coachings, we had some really good coaches in there, but in 1978, when they brought Greg Sherwood here, of course, we had graduated by then, but I had a lot of conversations with Greg during his coaching time, and what a great man he was. If we'd have had him here at Plainview, we had so much talent. I think about in the late '60s, because I was always watching sports and up there, and from Jerry Sizemore and Lawrence McCutcheon, and I think about in the early '70s, some of my brother's teams and how good they were, and our team was loaded with talent. And they only took one team then. I mean, in district now, I think 3 or 4 teams probably make it in a lot of these places, but you could have 4 or 5 really good teams in the district, and it didn't matter. One team was going to advance, and that was it. So, I mean, there was a lot of disappointment. If you just lost one game, you might have all the speed and the talent on your team, but it might be a muddy night in Hereford, Texas, and that mud is a great equalizer in football. So, I mean, but getting back to my point, we had some good coaches and we had some not so good ones, but when Greg got here, I think that was the golden years of Plainview.
Well,
Sure.
did you guys help each other, push each other to complete these stations? I mean, I can't imagine, because I remember watching what was that movie with Denzel? Remember the Titans? I remember those kids doing that figure 8. I remember that, and those up and downs, and I remember that scene. One of them wanted water. He goes, "No, you're not going to get any water." And
And they didn't give us water.
Salt pills. We took salt pills.
I remember those salt pills.
And
Yeah.
we drank a Coke. And at the end of practice, we came in, we had a small Coke and some salt pills. That's what we drank.
Another thing that was funny was it didn't matter how hurt you were. You got a couple of aspirin, took them, and went on.
Yeah. Now, you asked if we helped each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we helped each other, but I promise there was never any mouth to mouth of any of
I think just being each other's friends helped. I think that's.
And we were all friends on the team.
What about your parents? I mean, they saw this abuse. What do they think about it?
You didn't tell your parents back then.
No,
they probably didn't even know.
So you didn't complain.
Yeah. If I'd have told my mom, she might have went down there and beat somebody. I don't know. No, she wasn't that way.
Yeah, and I'm not sure they would have known what to do about it, even if you did complain to them.
But they had hard times too. Their times were harder than what we were going through, financially struggles and hard work. And as a kid, I didn't know it at the time, but I wouldn't have went to them and said, "Hey, I'm a crybaby, and the coaches are killing me." At that age, I did it in the 7th grade, But I know my dad would have said, "Dude, they wouldn't have believed it. You got to go and be tough and do what they ask." Okay.
What, that rope was that right? 30 feet up in the air?
At
That
least.
was.
Yeah.
What, the rope?
Yeah.
Oh, that's at least 30 feet.
Yeah.
At least.
Man, you're lucky no one fell.
Oh,
Yeah.
they're lucky a lot of ways.
Yeah.
We had blisters.
Yeah.
Guys that
I hope they had knots like every
slip
no
rope.
knots.
This is just a twisted grass rope.
This rope
Like a tug of war rope.
about that thick.
And you could use your feet or your legs.
You
at
could
least.
use your legs.
But there was
Okay.
a couple guys that could do it without feet. I mean, they were just extremely strong.
Could you get up without your legs?
I could do that.
I mean, I couldn't get up. I couldn't even get up. Hands or legs. I couldn't get up.
I think it depended what station you started out on. If you started out on the
there you
road,
go.
you were probably going to be able to get up there and do fine. And if you were coming after you'd gone through the other stations, you
were out of
you were
luck.
good to get to the top.
Yeah. That's the
Now,
option.
I assume during the games you did have water available.
Yeah.
During
I
the
got-
games, we got water.
I got the funniest story because, like Dan said a while ago, run forever. We were in the best shape of our lives, but we didn't win a football game. And I think one of the best compliments we ever got after the end of the football games is, man, we're glad we didn't have to play y'all 3 more quarters or 2 more quarters, because we couldn't have stood up with you, because we were still going full speed. But we lacked in a lot of other areas, but not ability, but I think just coaching. But I feel
So
like
I would imagine after these guys stayed out there and cheered you on when you had to run those hundreds, it really solidified your friendship with them.
Well, say what?
She said that
That 2,500 yards.
But I'm
You know, we were just buddies. I mean, that's just how it was. I mean, you know.
he has not thanked us as of today. Yeah.
well, now's your opportunity to turn around and thank these guys.
He did.
I want to know why the hell y'all didn't just run it with him versus cheering him on.
Yeah, that's what I was.
That's a simple answer. We were smarter than he was.
You just said he was a genius
He
earlier.
was. What does that say about us now? We didn't run anymore. Oh, we might have jogged along a little bit.
No, they didn't.
Okay. Who was y'all's rival back then? Monterey or?
I guess.
And Monterey was probably number 1. Hartford was probably number 2. Yeah.
Who's some of the players that you guys that made it like the college or pros? Do you guys remember?
Well, Midland Lee had those guys. They had a guy named Keith Bishop and a guy named Junior Miller that both played in the NFL for a long time.
You know, yeah, those teams all around here had good players that I think played. Tascosa had, what was the running back's name?
Mayberry. James Mayberry.
You know, and there was some guys I think from Hereford that did well. Or, you know, Plainview, we had some good boys that came out of here, not in our grade, but you know, Jerry Sizemore was not only an All-American in Texas, but also an All-Pro, and Lawrence McCutcheon both. Lawrence McCutcheon was a star running back for the Los Angeles Rams.
The Rams, yeah.
So yeah, there was a lot of talent coming through here.
Then of course,
Yeah, Arlen, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Arlen had some great. You started 4 years later, so yeah. What can you say?
And you were there with Vic from Odessa.
Pines was there. In fact, I run across Vic from time to time. We were back at Waco back in November. I went down to see a game, which I never did, and ran into Vic, and so
Grant Taft was head coach back then. They had some really good teams back then in the 70s.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
We had some of the Odessa boys and on Vic's team. We had them and some of the 78 Bulldogs on about 8 months ago, I think. And they discussed that game that they played in the quarterfinals, I think, or the semis.
Greg Sherwood's son, the quarterback. Yeah, those were some really good ones. That was, are you talking about the 78 team?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes.
Royce, the running back that went to OU, and Royce Coleman was back there. He was called the Bull, known around this whole area as the Bull, because he was quite a running back, and Coach Sherwood's son was on that team, and they lost in I guess the regional game against Permian in Jones Stadium that year.
Mm-hmm.
That was the first year Greg was here, Sherwood.
And it was cold. It was freezing cold that day.
Yeah.
Went to the game. But yeah, I tell you that one of the guys shared the actual game. They had a highlights, and I watched the whole game and with no commercials. I mean, it was play after play after play, so there was no time in between. I mean, it went from running, the next to running. So I was able to watch it like in 45 minutes. And the one thing I told the guys that I noticed is when they tackled like 3 or 4. It wasn't just one. I mean, they got through quickly and stop Royce or Irving or what was the other Billy Williams, I think was his name, right?
Billy Williams.
Yeah, I mean those guys were quick and fast, and there was just a bunch of them did the tackling.
Yeah.
So
yeah, because what was that other running back? You named him right there, not Billy and not Royce, but the other
Irvin Davis.
Yeah, he went to play at Texas. He had some
Uh-huh.
good games, some good years there for the University of Texas. So
Yeah, I
yeah,
think in one year he had the most touchdowns. I think in '82.
yeah,
He was
that was
telling
a
me. He was.
good team.
Yeah.
Bobby, did you play college football?
I went to Tech to play, but it wasn't. I bowed out. I decided to go a different direction. Yeah,
Okay. Well,
didn't play.
Dan, did you play college football?
No,
So,
Okay.
Arlen, obviously you played college football.
Yeah.
Do you feel that your experience of not having, well, you described the type of coaches that you guys had. Do you feel that you were not as prepared as you should have been for your first year of college football?
I don't think I would necessarily say that. We had a coaching changeover to a different philosophy who had a more intelligent philosophy, at least in terms of conditioning. And I started to blossom and I was actually I had the advantage of there was a guy here in town that I looked up to that was a mentor of Jerry Sizemore, really, a guy named Doc Long. I don't think he's with us anymore, but he got me started lifting weights, and this was in the mid '70s, and I don't think that many people lifted weights, and actually I thought that gave me kind of a leg up, and we had when we had the coaching change over from our sophomore years to junior years, we had a lot of, I think, really good coaches on that
Yeah.
staff, and so I don't feel like I was behind at all. In fact, I felt in many ways I was ahead. I started as a freshman, and I was the first freshman starter in Baylor history, and I really actually felt I was at an advantage.
That's
Did you
awesome.
play guard?
No, I played center.
Okay.
When I started as a freshman, and the first college football game I ever saw, I started in it.
Oh, nice. And then you play with the middle linebacker.
Mike
Geez, play
Singletary-
like Mike Singletary.
I
I
can't
bet
remember
the
if Mike is 1 year or 2 years younger than I am. I don't remember.
okay. Someone said he broke like 3 helmets in one practice session.
Yeah, Mike was an incredibly intense individual. He never said 2 words to anybody, and I mean, all he ever did was run up and down. Our dorms were arranged into stairwells. They were 3 stories high. You had 6 flights of stairs. And all he ever did was run up and down those stairs in army boots.
Oh wow.
And
Kind of like
Mike was just an incredibly intense individual.
cool. Going back to high school, when Sherwood, you guys mentioned started in '78, he changed it from the Plainview Bulldogs or Fighting Bulldogs to the Angry Red. What was y'all's thoughts back then at the beginning? It's okay.
You know, Greg had an aura around him. If you were around him very much, things like that didn't matter because everything he was changing, it was for the good around here. And don't get me wrong, we had some really good coaches. I think we said about some other coaches, but we had a whole lot of good coaches in there too. But Greg and his staff were amazing, and I think that the Angry Red part of it, that I don't think it hurt after that first year of like, man, that's not sure what is this Angry Red stuff going on. The second year, everybody was bought in. I mean, it was like we were all Angry Red at that point, and it carried. So, as far as I'm concerned, it was a good thing. I think it was just a brand. I think Coach Sherwood was branding teams before Brandon was probably known much about, in that day. So,
Absolutely.
So, but before we go on, your girls are going to have to probably go to another room because they're, are they close to you?
they are, well, they're in the room next
Yeah,
to
they're in the room next to us.
Yeah. So when they're talking, it's cutting out your audio.
oh, let
Oh,
me shut
okay.
that door.
Well, they're still using, we do have to close them windows too.
nothing like a little pickup.
Damn, Lisa, kicking out the wives.
Oh, shoot.
Post and it's recording on my cloud. Every time they talk, it's cutting you guys off.
Gotcha. You know, while Dan's doing that, funny story, used to, of course I graduated, but I was, come up to Plainview for Friday night games, and Greg and I would go eat before the football games on Friday night. And we had some wonderful, it was fun being around Greg and seeing how intense he was before football games. So, y'all can appreciate that. Y'all both graduated here in Plainview or went to Plainview?
Yes, 83.
Awesome.
We were there during Greg's, Coach Sherwood's era.
Yeah.
We were there.
Those were fun times. And, you know, it was just, the band was great. I'll never forget the football team was putting on pep rallies for the bands. I mean, it was just stuff you never heard of.
Right.
You know, football teams doing pep rallies for the bands and showing appreciation for, didn't matter what it was, but that was the kind of coach and athletic director he was. So anyway.
How'd you become friends with him? How'd that happen?
You know, it was just when he first got here, I think at that time I was working out a lot, at Plainview when I had time, you know, cause I was back and forth. I was going back and forth to Lubbock, to school some, and then here at Wayland, but I'd go up to the field house and work out. And Greg, you know, I was out there before all the football players were there cause I didn't want to be in the way. And he would come back there and we'd talk, and he just gave me keys to the place. So I was up there a lot. And so, you know, at night I might be up there, and Dana and I had kids, and we were up there with our kids, and so I had a big, you know, arena there inside that had AstroTurf turf on it, and all the pole vault pads and the jumping pads, and the kids loved playing on that. And Dana and I worked out. So I mean, that's how I got to know Greg more than anything. So it was a really fun relationship for me because I've got paintings. He was a painter.
Yeah, we heard about that. Yeah.
But I had him do a couple of paintings for my two boys of Peanuts, you know, Snoopy and Charlie Brown, playing football and baseball together. Well, so anyway, I'm kind of digressing from probably what y'all want to talk about, but it was a good relationship. So
the field house, that was there when you guys were there?
Yeah.
We were the first ones in it.
Yeah, George.
Oh, wow, cool.
Yeah, George Kirk was instrumental. He was the athletic director and stuff. He was a good marketing coach, and I think he helped get all that going. But yeah, that came in to existence our senior year.
We wore the last navy blue leather jacket and the first red leather jacket.
Say that again. I'm sorry.
We wore the last
okay.
leather jacket, and then we got the first red ones.
Okay.
After that, it was all red.
Always been red.
Yeah, red. Where did you get? What was the lockers before? Oh, at that old one at the, what is it? The south side of the stadium.
Yeah.
That's where your locker rooms were, right?
Yeah.
Oh wow, I remember those, small and dingy.
The varsity, yeah, the east end was varsity, the middle was what, JV, and then
The other side.
others freshmen. Yeah.
And that's where our stations were in off season. We would, each one of those rooms, we would go from room to room to room, and running through those hallways, going to your next station, you might get slapped around a little bit by an older guy, senior, you know, but
Well, hey,
Yeah.
speaking of, this is a question I always ask all the football players. You know, we always, you know, you guys will remember those hits that you put on someone. I mean, you blocked someone or you tackled someone. But Dan, do you remember a time when you got your ass lit up?
I do. I was in Midland, and I was a sophomore at the time, so I didn't know what I was doing. I was on the kickoff team, and we kicked the ball off. We'd go down there, and we had this crossover type deal. And I hit this Midland League guy and like to rip his head off. And I'm proud. And so we get to do it. So I'm going to do it. Man, he's setting it up the same way. I'm thinking, what a stupid guy. And I turned to hit him, and he cold cocked me so hard. knocked me out for about 3 seconds. And he bent over and he goes, "Do you really think I was going to fall for that again?" And I thought, "Man, this guy is, yeah, that's my memorable one."
Wow.
What about you, Arlen?
Well, which one do you own? High school, college, or pro, or all three?
Uh, let's stay with high school.
Well, I was on varsity as a sophomore, but I only played on special teams. And there was we were doing a kickoff, and I was headed down the field on covering the kickoff. And then there was a guy that was running back to block straight ahead of me. And he wasn't looking at me at all. And I'm running as hard as I can and I'm catching up to him. And all of a sudden he turned and hit me right in the legs and completely upended me, flipped me over. And all you could see on the film were my legs going up in the air. And the head coach asked me, I just want to know if you got back up. And I'm sure I told a lie and said yes. And
Bobby?
that was probably the hardest I ever got hit as a high school.
Bobby?
Bobby.
Oh, yeah, for me, I was a sophomore playing defensive cornerback, and we were playing Amarillo Tascosa, and James Mayberry, that went on to play for the Atlanta Falcons. He had thighs like Earl Campbell in high school, or so I thought. And anyway, they were running an option, and the cornerback on an option run, I mean, it's all about disrupting the whole play coming out because they're trying to go wide. And so you're crashing down. I mean, you're trying to mess up blockers. You're just trying to bust through and mess up the play and get to the running back. And I unfortunately got through to the running back, James Mayberry, and made a perfect form tackle on his thighs, and it was lights out. That was the only time in my career I got knocked out, but I did get knocked out on that play. So I'd say his thighs was my hardest hit.
And I assume you stayed in the game and played.
I did, but they took me out. I mean, I was walking around like a zombie, and the coaches finally realized I didn't know where I was at, so they took me out.
That's cool.
I think, especially your generation and probably in generations before you, how we deal with concussions in football nowadays compared to concussions when you play. Like it was like dust your britches off and get back in the game, shake it off.
Well, okay, how many fingers am I holding up?
That's it.
Yeah.
3, close enough. Get in there.
Go back.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Same
Yeah.
thing with knee injuries or anything. I mean,
Anything.
in college or pro, I mean, you got I don't know if it's cortisone shots, but you got those shots just to kill the pain, to mask the pain. I'm pretty sure
We got 2 aspirin anyway.
and no water. You have to take the aspirin with no
They
water,
didn't
right?
start the serious cortisone till later.
Yeah. They weren't. We didn't have that nice thing.
So you guys grew in high school. You got to tell us some little shenanigans. One thing that Geraldine told me about you guys brag who can kick each other's ass. So let's hear some of those kind of fun stories.
Well, we've been threatening to do that for about 30, 40 years now. But we didn't have any many shenanigans. I mean, by the time we got to high school, I mean, all I ever did was either play football or work out or study or hang out with my girlfriend. These guys are kind of the same. I mean,
Don't let him fool you.
Arlen, hang on. I'm sorry. I'm going to call bullshit on you. And let me tell you why.
I'm glad you did. Go ahead.
The moment Flo asked you that question, you both had this big grin and you turned to look at each other. So there's a story there, and we're on it. So you got to.
I don't know.
I'm calling bullshit on you, mister.
Yeah,
call him.
Right. Yeah, his halo's not near straight on over his head. He thinks. No.
Okay, what is the shenanigans then? What is it?
Well, we were
I
talking
don't
about
remember.
our senior year, Arlen, was filling his oats, and I don't know how many times if we were walking down the hall, he didn't matter who he was talking to, teachers, principals, he would mouth something, some little sly remark. It wasn't bad, but everybody around him got busted with him. Uh, so there was always stuff like that going on, and I remember one time we were sitting around a table. Was it Danny? We threw in the fountain. All the football
We
players sat
called
at one
Danny
table.
Messer.
Messer, in fact. No, it wasn't him. It was a freshman. I can't think of his name, but all the football players sat at a certain table in the cafeteria, and we were all eating, doing our thing. And this guy, I can see his face nearly now. He came by and said, "Oh, big bad football players," and I mean the whole table started rolled over and they're carrying him out of the room, and
Oh shit.
carried him out. And there used to be a big fountain that they kept. I think they even had fish in that thing at one point. But anyway, and we threw him in the fountain, and we all scattered because we knew what was coming next. And next period, they were calling out names and going to the principal's office. So I don't know if y'all were involved in that, but I didn't have my hands on the guy, but I was part of the pack. I think Arlen was in that pack too.
Oh, I'm sure I was, but I mean, the only thing that I mean, it's so boring. I was in Mr. Watson's algebra class, and I was sitting in front of another teammate. I'm scared to mention his name, and he played wide receiver. He's a fast guy, and Mr. Big B, who's not the tallest man in the world, and he just, I'm sitting there minding my own business. Really, I just obviously my brain wasn't engaged, but Mr. Big B comes in, and the guy sitting behind me tells me to tell Mr. Big B to duck, and I told him to duck, and Mr. Big B at first didn't want to bust me, but Mr. Watson insisted that he bust me, and he took me out in the hall and wore me out pretty good.
Mr. McNee was a short guy, but he could swing a mean
He could
horse.
swing a
Oh,
mean.
he was there when we were there.
Yeah.
I got
he-
a lick from him too. One day in school, I minded my own business like I always did. I get a note from the office.
You can call BS anytime you want to on that.
Yeah.
I get a
Anytime
note.
then, yeah.
I get this note and it says, you need to go to the phone at the office. And we had a secretary, the principal had a secretary, Mr. V, that would always listen in. And so I get the phone and it catches him. Hey, Danny, meet me out. And he hears the phone pick up. Dan, your sister's flying in and I can't not get to the airport. I need you to get to the airport and get her picked up. And I'm looking at this secretary. She goes, so I go outside. He's out there in the car. We jump in the car. We go to Lubbock. We hang out at the mall for a little while. We're back in Plainview time for football. And it was off season, but we had a great time. I'll never get that.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, right.
So I think
What?
I mean, of course there were no cell phones.
disappointing. I don't know.
Yeah.
Dan, there was no cell phone. So where was he? Across the street at the convenience store at a payphone?
Parking lot of the school. He drives up.
Now, yeah, I think that I can't remember where I was calling from though, Dan. Yeah, it was probably off.
Oh, yeah, it had to be because we didn't have
I
cell.
probably was
Yeah.
at the field house because every once in a while, what year was that? Was that our junior year?
75.
Yeah. A lot of times I got called out to go out to the field house every once in a while for something. And so I'd go there after a certain class. And I think that's when I did that. I thought, this is just a good time to skip. And I probably called Dan. We didn't do that often.
No, one time. But it was, I'm thinking, man, I felt like I'm stealing something, doing something dishonest, And but it wasn't my fault. It wasn't my fault. I didn't have the idea.
Oh, man.
So
Yeah,
who
we could go a little harsher on each other, which we normally do, but we're not there. We won't
No.
go there.
We're clean fun. It was clean. It was clean fun.
Oh my gosh. Hey, so
So
do
who-
y'all have open campus when you were in high school? Meaning, could you leave school to go to lunch, or was it closed campus?
It was closed.
It's closed.
It's
right, yeah.
cafeteria. Yeah, we good old cafeteria
Yeah.
food.
Oh wow! I wonder when they opened it because when we were there, it was open.
Yeah. It probably, yeah. Things probably changed for you guys. Y'all were better kids, I guess. They want to keep us proud.
So who would drive to Nazareth?
I don't remember any
Where-
driving.
Where's that at?
Yeah, right.
That tells you right there, doesn't it? Who probably did that?
I don't remember any driving in asthma. I really
There
don't.
was a lot of people that did. Now, don't you get us wrong. I mean, it was happening, and but yeah.
So where
I-
did you guys hang out? Hang
I
out like
honestly don't think we did any driving in Nazareth. I really don't.
Okay. Where did y'all hang out on the weekends? Like was Gibson Park Lot a big
Yeah.
thing back then?
Gibson's and the Arrowhead Drive-In and
Yeah, girlfriend's house after
Girlfriend's
games
house.
and stuff. Yeah, I mean, we had the sweetest. My girlfriend had her mother was the sweetest lady, Pat Cook, and she used to make the meanest sweet rolls anywhere. Dan can vouch for that because we'd go over after football games. She had those hot cinnamon rolls ready. My goodness, it was sweet, and not just sweet, but sweet as in good.
Yeah.
And yeah, but I had guys over playing. I was fortunate enough to have a pool table in the basement, so I used to have a lot of guys come over and play pool after games, and we'd stay up and relive stuff. So yeah, it was fun time.
Yeah, fun
Yeah.
times.
Okay. So was there any gambling?
Didn't have any money.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, if we'd had some money, we might have gambled.
yeah, right.
Or like if I win, you gotta wash my car or
You
anything,
know-
you know, have to be money related. So
There was so much trash talk. I don't even think we thought about.
I think we invented your mama.
speaking of, was Goat Knuckle around when you
Oh,
guys
no,
were there?
No, y'all invented that, but we would ride the bus back after losing a football game and you had to whisper because coaches didn't allow you to talk.
Yeah, yeah.
We had this guy named Robert Johnson. And everybody knew everybody's mama's name, you know, and we just would say things. Robert's mom was Ametri. Ametri. And somebody whispered over, Ametri don't have any teeth. And
That was yellow. Everybody was yelling.
yeah, and coaches hollered, but
Yeah, that was yeah. Bus rides could get really ugly.
ugly.
Were they the yellow dogs? Because I assume they weren't charter.
We had a bulldog bus, but sometimes some of the things that were shouted out, and the coaches weren't even immune from that. I mean,
Yeah,
you know, if they didn't call us down early enough, some of those guys would even shout out about the coaches, and then they finally get up. So that's it, boys. I've had enough. But
yeah, those got a little bit more R-rated, I think. I probably not good things.
Dan used to. I don't know if it was just Dan. There was several of them. But it'd get real quiet on there, and we'd get. He used to have like these Vatica things on the bus, and it was really just a padded baseball bat. And they'd gang up on people and just start hitting. It was soft enough that it didn't hurt. You just had to cover up, and so there was a lot of shenanigans like that going on that were just fun. But anyway,
I can tell a Alex Karras gambling story if you want to hear it.
Sure. Wow.
Oh, he he was kicked out, suspended for gambling. Him and Paul Horning and I can't remember who the third one was, but came back on. He was the team captain, and he was going out for the coin toss, and the ref flipped the coin and said, "Here, call it." And he said, I can't, I'm not supposed to gamble. And
Oh wow! I didn't realize you played with them guy with those guys as
I did play,
Pronghorn.
guys, those stories filter around the NFL.
Okay, nice.
Did y'all,
Uh,
y'all work in high school?
besides Dan,
I'm sorry, say it again.
Did you
Work.
work? Did you work in high school?
I did. I didn't play my senior year. I worked.
By
I
choice
did
or
furniture,
because
Ramsar's furniture, which I think helped me. I think it built a lot of strength.
My dad had a power line construction company, so I was out on the line during the summers, and you know, so yeah, I guess everybody worked probably during those days. It was always
Yeah.
nice when football, training would start back up because you could come back and get into training. That was always fun. Get off the line.
Uh, I lived about 18 miles out in the country, so I think it was the junior year. My mom was working at the Holiday Inn, and we come up with this idea that I would just rent a room at the Holiday Inn and stay there through 2 days. And of course, my dad was a little upset. He didn't think that was appropriate, uh, but because I could get in trouble doing things. Well, we were so tired, and Bobby came up and stayed with me several nights. We just hang out. We couldn't even go to the darn swimming pool because we were so wore out and tired.
What kind of vehicles did you guys drive your senior year? If y'all had a vehicle,
I drove a Malibu, a Chevrolet Malibu, and I was proud of it. Dan,
I had a Grand Prix. It was,
hey,
Dan was a
well, it was I bought it used. It probably had 350 million miles on it when my dad bought it, but it was a fun car. Had a long nose on it.
yeah, it was a nice looking car.
I had a blue Buick that I would bet was 15 years older than you guys' car. Yeah, and considered myself lucky to have it.
Yeah.
and those were made out of steel. Those are
Yeah.
solid
Was made
cars
out-
back then.
I think so.
And I mentioned gas was only 58 cents a gallon.
Yeah.
15
And that was tough to buy then.
And
Yeah,
that was tough. Still,
yeah, yeah.
And yeah, you guys, what year had that gas shortage?
that's when Richard Nixon decided that he would try government price controls to beat inflation. Like, well, can I get into politics? Can I say a political name?
That's fine.
No, she said,
We're getting a no on one and a yes on the other. So I'm gonna say no. But Richard Nixon, I'll go ahead and say that name. He decided to try price controls, government price controls, and they didn't work. And then that lasted about 90 days. There were gas lines around the block, and I remember those. And he finally got rid of them, and the gas lines went away. And but there was a political figure in the last election that was proposing government price controls, and advice to her. Oh darn! Advice to that person would have been consult the former Soviet Union, consult Venezuela, consult Cuba, consult Richard Nixon, to see how that worked out.
Hey, the gas
Okay.
shortage ended.
Do you think I alienated any of your fan base here?
No, you're good. You're
Okay.
good. You're good. Well,
As far as
you guys play football. What about basketball or track or baseball? Did you guys play any other sports? I'll start with you, Bobby.
I was lucky in there. I got to play baseball, basketball, and football my sophomore year, and then when the football coaches were very persuasive, and here Plainview had a very good basketball team with Bill Phillips. I mean, we had a lot of good years there. Rolly Rinker and Bill Phillips, and took some teams to the state playoffs a lot. And so there was kind of a competition between basketball and football. So it was kind of like, if you weren't going to play football, you got to go football. And, you know, it was one of those things. I wish that they hadn't talked me out of it, because I love baseball, I love basketball. And I actually went back my senior year and for the basketball team, but wish I had never dropped baseball and basketball after my sophomore year. Anyway, so yeah, go ahead, Dan.
I didn't, no, I could barely play football, much less another sport, so.
I threw the discus and held the high school record for a long time. I wanted to play basketball, but Bobby kind of already, I mean, yeah, they had, coaches, football coaches, they were upset with me, felt I needed to go out to the field house and do that. And there was a war between coaches, and they just, you know, it just didn't work out with them. It's too bad.
Yeah, yeah. Who beat your record? Someone like Kevin Woods or
I
Urban
can't
Davis?
remember who took my record, but there's a guy that I mean, he not that long ago, I think he got I don't know his name, but I think he got a scholarship to like San Angelo State or something like that. I think he threw it over 200 feet, but I'm sure my record probably would have been broken before then.
Right.
But I don't know for sure who broke it. I broke Steve Packard's record. Steve Packard has set the record the year before, and then I broke it the next year. And of course, he ran out there on his motorcycle, and he was going to, I think, hit me with a baseball bat or something like that.
Were you gonna ask something, Lisa?
I was going to ask Arlen, so you alluded earlier to you being small when you were in elementary school. So when did you get big? Like, when did you bulk up? When did you go through a growth spurt?
I was a small, quick person. I was very fast when I was in elementary and junior high. Now, between my 8th grade and 9th grade years, I grew 4 inches. And during the pure summer, I had growth pains so bad that my mother would have to stay up all night massaging my legs so that I could even try to get some sleep. But then I was so uncoordinated, and I got very slow at that point. But then I was 5'8" and went to 6 foot, and weighed about 165 pounds. I was as skinny as a rail, but slowly through the freshman year gained some coordination back. Then my sophomore year, I went from 6 foot as a freshman to 6'2" as a sophomore and 185 pounds. But one of the things that really was hard about sophomore and that coach and their philosophy was, my body just couldn't hold up to the pounding. I mean, if I would get nerve burners in my neck. I'd go out and block a guy and just pain would just shoot down my neck, and I just sometimes end up just rolling on the ground. And went to see a doctor, and the doctor advised me to give up football. So one of the things that the coaching transition did was to strengthen me up, and I got rid of these nerve burners. And boy, I mean, it's hard to play football. Every time you hit somebody, you get a burner down your neck. And junior year, I got up to 6'3", 205, and I was starting to get to be kind of a big guy. And then senior year, I was 6'3", 235, and had retained speed and agility, and was recruited by schools and was an all-state candidate and that kind of thing. and played in the Texas high school game. Texas high school game at the end of the summer, I was 6'3", 240, and then playing in the Texas high school All-Star game.
You know, until you mentioned that, it just we never talk about it. We, of all the football players we've had, nobody's ever talked about growing pains, but I hear they're just horrible, and how hard it must be to play sports when you're experiencing that level of pain. My nephews went through that, and I just remember how agonizing.
I still have Osgood-Schlatter disease. I have those knots in the front of my shins to this day.
Wow.
Yeah, he grew. It seemed like overnight. It was like every summer he came back bigger, and it was, you could watch it as as he came back, because he was a kind of a skinny guy in junior high, and then it was nuts how fast he grew.
Wow.
Nice.
Fun to watch.
And you were thankful you didn't have those pains.
Yeah, I didn't have any of that. Of course,
So- Go ahead.
Well, I want to
No.
ask this. Whenever I found your senior pictures, Arlen and Bobby had this nice little feather
oh
haircut,
my gosh.
nice little feather, and then
I did
Dan,
Bobby-
Dan had the
Bobby,
military
I was a
cut.
ladies' man. Yeah, I'm gonna get him in trouble now.
So
That's
Dan, could you not grow your hair long back then, or was that by choice?
No, I wanted to go, but my dad wouldn't allow. Me and my dad we always crossed words. And I don't remember, I probably was a junior. He told me my hair got a little bit longer. He said, go get a haircut today. I said, what's wrong with my hair? And he said, we're not going to talk about this. Go get a haircut. And he grabbed the back of my hair to show me my hair was too long. And I hit my dad's hand off, and it immediately, I went, what a dumbass to hit your dad. He turned around and caught me under the throat and slid me up the wall. And my mom was one that was scaring me. She was going, don't kill him, Cleo, don't kill him. But I was on weeks. I hit my dad, and I really just knocked his arm, off the
Right.
back. It like to killed me that I did that. So I went and got a haircut.
in my defense about the hair, because I think Arlen, you had long hair too, didn't you?
Well, I mean, my hair and growth story is what makes me be a conservative and believe in peace through strength.
There you go.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, because when we were growing up, and we lived, I think, through the greatest era of bands. I mean, from the Doobies and the Eagles to Linda Ronstadt and Pink Floyd, it was all over the place. And so those guys that had hair long, we didn't have well, not a curfew, but a dress code. So people grew. Now, when we played Midland League, those guys had their heads shaved. I mean, it was when we were in basketball and we went out on the court to play Midland League, their team had shaved heads. And we were like, oh my gosh, what are these people? And they were animals out there, but they were, that's just, I always thought it was kind of cool. I always thought, and I think some of us shaved our heads our senior year. They couldn't talk me into it, but some of them shaved their heads our senior
I
year.
didn't shave my head.
But anyway.
Well, I saw your golden locks, so I can see why you didn't want to shave yours.
Well, my freshman year, my hair was down to my shoulders, and I'm just this tall, skinny kid, and in a place called like Plainview, it was more. I'm trying to be delicate, it's more of a country and western type place, and we had a lot of guys that were pretty tough guys, and they didn't mind causing a little trouble, and they caused me trouble all the time. I'm just a skinny guy, hair down on my shoulders, and then I got to be this great big kid as a senior, and suddenly with people coming around giving me so much trouble.
People didn't give Art much trouble. We kidded him a long time, but he was a good friend. We could get away with it, but
No, I'm talking about other people.
yeah, no, I know that because I've seen Arlen when he, in cases where you wouldn't want to be on the other side of it. But anyway, I was going to say another story that I thought was kind of fun for us, and Dan, all of us can get on this. We all went to a school called Coronado Junior High. And it was kind of on the poor side of town, and there was a whole lot of stuff going on there. I mean, it was kind of like Fight City every day. And so you grew up real fast there. Estacada had more of the rich kids, and so we were being educated, but also learning how to fight at the same time. So there was fights breaking out everywhere. It's like, I don't know, you hear about, going to a hockey game and a boxing match.
Elementary school every day, you either fought or you ran, and I spent most of the time running.
Well, that changed in a hurry. But at junior high, there was a lot of that going on. It was good times. Personally, I thought.
Hey, Dan, you mentioned you lived 18 miles outside of Plainview.
And it was hard to town every day.
I mean, were you supposed to go to another school, the closer? Like,
No, the way it worked out, our farm was on the north side of 784, so that's where our house was. On the south side of 784, those kids went to Petersburg. So I was just a few feet away from going to Petersburg.
yeah, okay, yeah. I mean, being that far out, I was wondering.
Yeah,
You
so
mentioned.
I get on the bus at 6:45 in the morning and go around picking kids up and get off. And then I was the last one to get off going home. And that made a long day.
Did you guys raise crops or had animals or both or?
Both. My dad was an insurance salesman, so he bought that farm. He farmed since he was a kid and just had to have a farm. So my brother and we farmed the farm as kids, and he sold insurance. So that's what we did.
You were the laborers.
No, ma'am, not much labor. Laborers get paid. I was more the slave.
That's funny. So I'm going to ask this quick question. When Arlen was drafted to the Broncos, correct?
I was actually drafted by Chicago.
Chicago. Okay. What did you guys? Were you guys with Arlen, or when he found out he was drafted by these guys, or?
No,
I mean,
no, I was in my room at Baylor. My parents were there,
okay.
but it was just me and my mom and dad were just there. Yeah.
How Dan and Bobby, how did you guys feel for this friend you grew up with all of a sudden gonna go play for the NFL?
Yeah, we were proud for him. I mean, he earned every bit of what he got. So yeah, it was a good moment for all of us.
Did he spend any money on, when he got his first check on you guys?
No,
I
he
haven't
wanted
seen
it
it.
all.
I haven't seen. Yeah,
He needed it. He said, "Would you guys like to invest in me now?"
Yeah, yeah. Arlen used to come over to the house a lot, and it was fun to watch Arlen eat. Arlen he had 2 hollow legs, and that boy, I mean, when he was growing, it was quite it was something to watch him eat. It still is, isn't it?
That's
So
cool.
did y'all ever go see him play during his professional career?
He was living too far off for.
I think I
us
was
to
too
ever
far
see.
away.
Yeah.
He would come here and see us when he was in town. One time I met him at Sambo's. I think it was Sambo's.
Sambo.
Remember Sambo's?
I don't remember.
Well, I'll
All
jog.
right, jog my memory.
He came out of the car, and it might have been somewhere else, but it was in Plainview. Came out of the car. He's in shape. and he runs over and tackles me. Just died. That may be the hardest time.
I do not remember that. I do not remember.
He didn't get hit, so you don't have to remember it. I got hit. I remember.
I thought you were gonna say he's wearing a nice polyester suit with the fur coat, long fur coat. Nice, you know.
Like Deion Sanders. He was,
I
had
was
head
like,
chains around his neck.
I was like Snoop Dogg.
Yeah.
So,
Please.
go ahead, Lisa.
I know I was saying that was the look of the, late 70s, early 80s. Flashing like that.
I was Snoop Dogg. I had the Mr. T starter set. Oh, good.
I don't do anything. I could just normal.
That's the way I remember it.
Yeah.
No,
Now, did you play against Lawrence and well, they were still there and then Sizemore?
who is that?
Ah.
Jerry was in Philadelphia. Yeah, that's some guy. And
McCutcheon was in
I
Rams.
ran into Jerry. Of course, I was a rookie. He would barely talk to me, but I was at the Philadelphia Combine. I took the top 100 prospects to analyze you. I mean, you wouldn't believe what a draft is. I mean, you get measured, poked, prodded, analyzed. You're so sick of getting measured, you can't even see straight. But I ran into Jerry in Philadelphia at the Philadelphia Combine, and but I wasn't anybody at that point. He wouldn't talk to me, but a little bit. And then by the time I was my fourth year, when I'd been playing some, I ran into Jerry again, and he'd actually talk to me. And I'm sure his family appreciate me telling this. But anyway, yeah. Where were we going? What were we talking about?
You're telling the
Playing
story.
against, yeah.
Well,
Did you play against McCutcheon and
Yeah.
Sizemore?
No, I never played against. I never played against Jerry. I never played against the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't think I ever played against them ever. And I don't think I played against the Rams ever. Lawrence, Lawrence, the injuries started piling up on him late in his career. And I can't remember ever playing against a team. Lawrence had his real glory years with the Rams, but then he played for Seattle for a while and played for somebody else I can't remember. But I never played against any of those guys.
Cool. Oh, okay. Going back to high school, what was some of the good good athletes that you guys played with there in Plainview? I know I was talking to Robert Braddock the other day, and I was mentioning you guys are coming on the show. He mentioned three names: Ricky Ellis, Robert Long, I think, and there was a McAllister. I guess he was a quarterback.
You mean on Plainview?
Jamie McAllister
Yes.
in their age or closer to their age. We did have a Robert Long. He was a junior when we were there, and Lester Fennell was a good running back for us that senior year. But I think we lost the best running back we ever had. His name was Robert Washington, and a lot of people might not know about Robert, but he played up to our junior year, and he was one of those guys. We were talking about it earlier. I kind of analyzed him as being like Barry Sanders, but he did not lose any speed when he was making cuts or spin moves and stuff. He was an exceptional athlete, but just had some issues and didn't get to finish out his career. But yeah, we had some good ones come through. Every year that here in Plainview, we had some really good running backs. I mean, you couldn't pick a year. I couldn't think that we didn't have a good running backs, for here. So, yeah. During our time, Robert Long was starting that year. I think Lester Fennell was running some in the backfield. Who else? there was a sophomore,
Well, with Jerry Thomas
Gary Thomas.
and I
But he
can't
didn't play
remember.
our senior year, I don't think.
I thought
I think he
did.
broke his leg. And
Oh,
he didn't
maybe he
come back.
did. I don't know.
Jerry. But there was a sophomore, and I can't recall his name. That he did a pretty good job. I don't know how he did after that, but so Braddock in that group, I think they were wasn't they part of that first group with Sherwood, weren't they?
I thought
No,
so.
Braddock was our age, 83.
Oh, he was a long
Okay.
further. Yeah, that was that Sherwood bunch. Then later on,
Yeah.
Uh,
He
So-
went to Texas, and when when Irvin was there.
yeah, the guy that you mentioned was it Jamie? He came from a long line of either his granddad or his dad was a professional baseball player, and he was a good little athlete too. I think he played at New Mexico, if I'm not mistaken. New Mexico University is where he played quarterback for them when he came out of PHS.
Nice. Okay. Cool.
No, he was a lefty. What? No, he might have. No, he was right-handed. Yeah.
Okay. Lisa?
But going back to high school, what kind of students were y'all?
Well,
I showed up today.
Graduated right that
I'm sorry.
I was an A student. I missed being an honor student by less than a tenth of a point. I didn't. Well, I don't know, maybe I don't know if you're gonna consider it shenanigans, but English grammar just could not hold my attention. I was not good at things you had to memorize. I was more a logical thinker. If something followed a logical pattern, I didn't need to memorize it. I could just think through it. But English grammar was something you just had to memorize, and it drove me crazy. And so I would do things like throw spitwads in class and things like that. It gets sent to the principal's office. And so but my senior year, at the end of it, Mr. Henry was the vice principal, and it was me and two other people he called to go down to his office, and he laid out our grades because he wanted us to go ahead and calculate our grades because I was less than a tenth of a point away from being an honor student or graduating with honors. And so he had us calculate our score to make sure there wasn't anything wrong. It's me and two other students. I don't remember who it was, but I was less than a tenth of a point away from graduating with honors. I scored the essay. I only took the essay or the ACT rather, and back then it was out of 30 points. I scored a perfect 30 on math and science in the ACT, and that was the night after Hereford homecoming game, and so that's how things went for me.
You, fellas?
Well, I was below average, I'm sure, but I didn't really cause any trouble. My grades were okay, nothing special. I couldn't apply myself. I hated school, hated history, and definitely hated English. But looking back now, I'm so disappointed in myself that I didn't apply to a better, to be a better student. I love history. I think, listening to history is great. Still don't like English. I speak very bad English now, but that's it.
Bobby, what about you?
I'd say I was average. I didn't apply myself. My life was sports. I ate, lived, and slept sports, and that's just where I thought future was going, and like so many young kids do. And so I think the teachers that probably motivated me the most were the ones who made it competitive. I mean, we're all competitive guys. I had a math teacher, for instance, in freshman year, and I'll never forget him, is Mr. Blankenship, I believe. And he was an older man, but he gave us problems, and we had to work it out on the board in front of the class with somebody across from you on a timer. So I love that. And so, I wish I'd had more teachers like that. I think I would apply myself more. But anyway, I'd say I was just about, average. It got better in college.
Well, that's a nice segue by teachers, Lisa.
So can you recall a teacher, and it doesn't have to be high school, just a teacher that just really made a lasting impact on you, or, an indelible imprint that just helped you, or
You want me to answer or?
I want all three of you to answer, so whoever wants to go first.
Man, you got it. Go. Who's your favorite teacher?
Who's your favorite teacher?
I thought Coach May he wasn't really in high school, but
Junior high.
junior high, and then had a superstar teacher, Donnie George. He was unbelievable. He was a guy that came off as a football coach, but he was a history teacher, as I remember. Is that right?
Yeah.
So, man, first thing he would get football out or basketball out. Hey, you guys, want y'all to do this, want y'all to do that. Boom, let's go to work. So you wasn't thinking about football during his class or whatever, but he was just a super guy. And then I didn't realize it at the time because I'm so much older than Geraldine. He taught her in Sunday school class and ended up marrying Geraldine and I.
Oh,
So,
wow.
yeah.
Oh, cool.
He was our principal.
He's a great guy.
Yeah.
Well, I thought Plainview was an exceptional school system. I never had any complaints about the education I got at Plainview. I mean, we had one teacher who actually had a PhD and used to work at the Atomic Energy Commission, Joanne Bowers. Her class was incredibly difficult. But if you make me pick one teacher that I thought really stuck out of my mind, I guess it'd be Larry McBee. I took calculus as a senior and as an independent study, and Mr. McBee was in charge of that, but a lot of times, he just bad questions. He'd let me come over his house and work with me, and he was a really good teacher and just a really good person. I mean, he was strong, he was tough, but he was also a compassionate person, and I guess he sticks out in my mind. That's what.
Wonderful.
Bobby?
I think I mentioned my favorites, there in the high school. I mean, there are others that were good teachers. McBee was a good teacher. We had some excellent English teachers. I think Arlen hit it on the head. If you applied yourself at Plainview, we had guys going to Princeton. We had them going to Rice. A guy that was in our class, he got awarded, I don't know, for his dissertation at, I think it was Princeton, one of the Ivy League schools. Don Moore. Was it
Don Moore? Yeah.
Brilliant.
Dr. Moore's son.
Yeah, Moore's son. But anyway, I mean, we had Plainview. That was one thing we did. We were loaded up with good teachers. So if you applied yourself, they were there.
Mrs. Tisdale was phenomenal. She taught the classics, and I enjoyed the classics. I mean, we got Moby Dick as a junior with Mrs. Jones?
No,
who was his?
What was her
Mrs.
name?
Dennis.
Mrs.
Dennis, and then you went into senior year with Mrs. Tisdale, and you got a lot of the classics. You got George Orwell, 1984. You got A Tale of Two Cities, The Scarlet Letter. I mean, it just goes on. And those books stuck with me, and I really enjoyed those books.
Nice.
There when we were there, and we read all those same books.
Yeah, I mean, and she did just a great job with them. I mean, she was an enjoyable teacher, and that was one of the classes that I enjoyed probably more than any other. I mean, now grammar I'm sure I drove those teachers nuts. You know, I mean, I'm throwing spit wads and doing everything else, and getting into all kinds of trouble. I couldn't pay attention to English grammar to save my life.
Okay, here's a quick question, Dan. I want Dan to answer this one. It would be the start. All right, we have cell phones with cameras and videos. Dan, can you share a story about these guys that you wished you could have had a video camera back then of something they did that just should have been filmed? Don't hold back.
When Arlen was the duck, he tells how he got the name, and I don't remember it that way because
I never told, and
so I didn't know. But what I remember about Arlen being called the duck was we had the duck crawl and we had to do that. And he over exaggerated being the duck. I would have loved to video Arlen and had that.
that's not how I got the nickname, but
In my mind, that's how he got it. So who cares how he got it?
That would have been cool to see that in video. What about you, Bobby?
Oh, a video of these guys?
Yeah, it's something. If you wish back then you could have had that smartphone.
Well, Dan lives on the edge. We were kidding him earlier that if a cat's got 9 lives, Dan's got 18 probably. And I think he's gone through half of them. But anyway, we were out at his farm one time and I got in a dune buggy with Dan, and I wish I'd have had a film of it because it would have probably been me with eyes about to pop out and him scaring me to death going through ditches. And I remember times looking up and seeing the sky, the front wheels pointing up, and we were there, and I thought life was about to end. So that would have been one of them. With Arlen, oh my goodness, I have some good ones that I can't tell, and I won't. There were just some moments with Arlen. We were together a lot those last 3 years of high school, and so there was some funny ones in there, and there was some fights that went on that I can tell one on Arlen that yeah, and I won't. But
no, please do. I'm
I
curious.
wish I had some.
I don't
I
remember.
don't want to tell. Well, it was when some boys came by your house and were shouting some abuse at your sisters.
Okay, all right, yeah, all right.
All right. I was on a date that night. I'll tell a little bit about it and try not to tell too much. But I was out on a date and when I got to the house, I heard that my mom said, Arlen's been trying to call you and it was I was probably about 10:30 or something after I got home. And I was like, well, okay. And I couldn't get a hold of him. His mother said, Bobby, I think he's up at Gibson's parking lot. Well, I got my car and I rushed up there because I thought, okay, something's going on. And anyway, he was out, I think, taking on about 4 or 5 guys out in the middle of a field. And by the time I got out there, some of the other guys were coming off the field saying, he doesn't need any help. And so I wish I'd had a film of some of those kind of moments, that we could have laughed about. But anyway, it'd been fun.
It's
Arlen?
just interesting, back then, fighting was a sport. Now you get so much trouble for doing something like that. It's unbelievable.
Get killed.
Yeah. It's not, yeah. Guys did that kind of stuff then. You walked away with friends nearly.
You probably walked away friends.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Back then it was fair fights.
Today
I
you're
mean,
gonna go to jail.
Yeah.
And maybe you might stay in jail.
yeah. Like here, I live in the Houston area. There's no way.
Yeah.
I moved here in '97 and I had a temper when people would cut me off, and of course I'm flipping them off, I'm cussing at them. But then that night I saw that people are shooting each other because of that. I mean, that's the last time I did that. I'm like, I'm not in Plainview anymore.
You do some kind of road rage thing today. Some driver cuts you off or whatever, and you flip them the bird or whatever. You might get shot today.
Absolutely, yeah.
Might get
Screw
shot.
that. So what about you, Arlen? What What's some? Can you share a story? Wish you had a camera or an iPhone.
Had a camera. Well, I mean, Bobby was so pretty. I always wish I had a camera. And then Dan was so crazy. I wish I had a camera. I can't think. What?
I'll tell you what I wish I had with Arlen. His girlfriend's, her dad had money, and they had a lake house, the ranch side. And we went up there, and I think it was his boat that we jumped in. And,
Ranch house?
yeah.
Yeah.
And so we dropped in water, and we started sitting out, and I think your sisters were with us. I think Connie was with us that day.
I think it's Christina. I think I remember what you're talking about.
Yeah. And you know, they were gonna lay out on the boat, and Arlen and I were gonna ski. And anyway, we got this nice boat out on, and I wasn't comfortable with it too much. But anyway, I thought, well, Arlen, you know, and everything, we were good. But we got out there, and the plug wasn't in the boat, and so we were sitting still, letting the girls get, their tanning lotion on before we took off to go ski. And I turned around and I see the bottom of the boat filling up with water. And I said, Arlen, did you put the plug in this thing? And he looked around like, plug?
What's that? What's that?
I said, Arlen, we're taking on water. And what are you talking about? I said, we're sinking. And he was like, we were out in the middle of the deal trying to wave people down. I said, help, help. And I started the boat and took off. I mean, it ran the water out. We got the plug in, but anyway, that was a funny time.
What's a plug?
Yeah, I was afraid we were gonna put Rex Bransire's boat on the bottom of
Oh my gosh.
Anyway, we got it up. We got it out.
That almost happened to me. My senior year, we took one of the girls' boats out, and we went all the way to Lake Silverton, I think.
Yeah.
And her dad was DPS. Man, as soon as we're getting ready to put in the water, you see him flying. He goes, guys, I forgot to put the plug in. I mean, because I wouldn't have known, and neither but my buddy Andrew, we wouldn't have known. We would have the same,
Problem.
Yeah. But I'm pretty sure he had the lights on going 89 miles an hour, to get to where we were. But well, guys, we've been on for almost a couple of hours, so
Goes fast.
Thanks for having
yeah,
us.
it does. It does. I mean, we can let you guys talk, and we can just leave the camera on for the next few hours, because I know we'll get some better stories that way. Especially, right, Lisa?
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing earlier. Like,
Yeah.
we're just gonna walk away. You just talk among.
I mean, you didn't get to a bunch of the questions.
I think we did.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, you
Yeah,
did?
it's been 2 hours.
Well, I don't care.
I have one final question. Way back at the beginning, we talked about the bicentennial. That year, there's a big parade. I think you guys were in the parade, the bicentennial parade.
Oh man, I probably wouldn't have, because that wasn't my kind of thing. But there was probably somebody in it. Did y'all remember?
I don't remember being in a bicentennial parade, but they're having to refresh my memory quite a bit right now. I don't remember being in a bicentennial parade.
You don't. Okay.
There probably was one. I'm not doubting what you're saying. I wasn't a part of it.
Yeah, I don't think I was part of it.
Okay.
Probably.
I mean, I know, like, there were cheerleaders, the twirlers were there, the band walked through. It was a big deal.
How did we miss out on that deal?
Yeah. I'm about to call some people and ask them why we went on the bicentennial parade.
I bet
We're upset about it.
I bet Lamont Beach and Bob Henry probably said, "Don't
Let those guys.
Yeah.
We want this parade to be successful. Just here's a list of people you leave out.
I'll tell you what, in July, for the 50th all school reunion, you guys come home, you make yourself a little float. Friday night, there's a downtown thing, and you just ride up and down.
Well, I'm gonna hope some people show up to that, and I'm gonna hold them accountable.
Yeah, yeah. We'd be the
Not-
only ones on
yeah.
the street.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be out there watching for it.
Yeah.
I just want
so you guys gonna attend? You guys gonna be there?
I think I will this year. I got dropped off the list. I don't do much.
He never goes to the reunion.
I do too. I
You
went
do
to
the
5 and
one.
10. No, I went to 5 and 10.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
All right.
But did I go to another one? I don't know.
Well,
My
you've got what about 2 months to grow your hair and to get that feather look again.
anymore. That hair's getting thinner and grayer by the moment.
I'm gonna have to start doing the comb over.
Well, Lisa and I are going to attend, and we're working on doing a live show on Friday night downtown.
Our
So,
50th.
oh, not the 50th. I'm sorry, for the all school. The all
Also,
school.
And it's for any Plainview grad, any Plainview high school attendee. It's the 50th all school reunion. It's in July 17th and 18th. Well, it's 18th.
I'm gonna try to be there.
Okay, that would be great. We'd love to see you guys.
So
That's
anyway, I do have to have one more question. So you guys, you mentioned licks, and you mentioned that Arlen's got a tattoo of a paddle on his ass. So
Yeah.
Dan, when was your first licks, and by whom, and why did you get it? Get it?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, I had a second grade teacher named Mrs. Golf. She tattooed me, and I don't remember why. And let's see. Then Mr. Kennard, who was a big guy, swung a mean paddle. I made a few trips down to his office. I'm sure throwing spit wads and causing trouble and getting into fights. And then let's see. I'll tell you a story if you're interested in it about Mr. Peck. And we had a teacher named Mrs. West, very attractive lady. And I don't think she liked me very much. And I was in her class throwing spit wads, and she sent me down to Mr. Peck's office. And I thought, well, Mr. Peck, he's going to tattoo me. And he didn't. He just set me down in a chair, and he went on about his paperwork, and he talked to me a little bit. How's things going? How do you like Miss West's class? Well, I don't like it very much. And then he sent me back up to Miss West's class. And I don't know what was wrong with me or what had gotten into me, but I started throwing spit wads again. And Mrs. West sent me back down to Mr. Peck's office. And I thought, okay, I've gotten on this man's last nerve, and he is going to really tattoo me. Well, I get down there, and he sets me down in a chair and starts talking to me, and he's just doing some paperwork and how's it going and what's going on. And he sends me back up to Miss West's office again. And I have no idea what was up with me and why I decided to push my luck. But I started throwing spit wads again, and she sent me back down to Mr. Peck's office, and I thought he is really gonna let me have it now. And he just sets me down and then starts talking to me and how you doing and what's going on and then he sends me back up to Miss West's class, and I behaved after that. And but it's kind of interesting story. I don't know why he didn't. I think there had to have been something going on, some kind of power play going on between him and Mrs. West. I think I'm not sure why he chose not to discipline me. I really don't. But it's kind of an interesting story, I thought.
Well, these spit wads were the ceiling or other people, the wall. Where did they?
People, walls, ceilings. They would stick to ceilings and pins they would stick in the ceilings and stuff like that.
This, I think.
Did you have a straw?
What?
Did you have a straw?
Nothing. Well, I had like I made a paper thing I tied together, and I could launch a pin
Okay.
thing, and so there were pins and pencils sticking up in the and spit wads, and I was hitting other people with spit wads, and I had a pretty good arm back then. I could throw pretty good.
Well, you should have done it at that. Was it Mr. Peck, whose office were you going to? You should have done it there, and see if you could gotten away with it.
No, that's not. Nobody was that stupid. I mean, Mr. Peck. I mean, he could swing the Board of Education. I'm going to tell you that much right now.
Yeah, having a paddle back then, it was an art. I mean, these teachers, these guys made up paddles and they'd nickname them Black Beauty, all this stuff. They'd have them shellacked, they'd have holes in them. And so when you were intimidated when they pulled the board out.
Shark teeth.
I mean, well, it's shark teeth. Well, it felt like it. But anyway, so there was some interesting boards that came out and yeah, you wish you weren't on the opposite side of those boards a lot of times.
So, Bobby, when did you get your first one, Bobby? What about you?
Oh gosh, it was probably Johnny Peck in my elementary. I had my second grade teacher too. Her name was Miss Hale, and I won't say anything else, but she didn't like me a lot either. And I think I got called down to the principal's office, and I don't know what it was for, but I think Johnny gave me a little swat, and it wasn't much of one, but it made a big impression on me. And so I think it was second grade where I started. But
That's where I started, second grade.
Dan got his in kindergarten.
Started there.
Well, Dan, when did you get?
Well, my first was Mr. Peck, and I don't remember what grade, third or fourth, but my older brother had squeezed me and put me to sleep. And then he showed me how to do it. So what did I do? I carried that to elementary, and I was putting kids to sleep. And it's very dangerous. Of course, as a kid, you don't know that. So I'm squeezing these kids and they're passing out. Convulsing, and everybody's laughing. That's fun as heck. And then finally, the teacher or Mr. Peck, whatever, I got in big trouble and got spanked for that. But
I think we should not only discuss when things began, I think we should discuss frequency.
yeah, that's right. I mean, as many
I think-
licks as you got, you should remember every one of them.
I'm thinking there's someone at this table had higher frequency than me. That's what I'm thinking.
No,
Not Bobby. That's Bobby's not who I had mine.
I did not get in trouble on that. I had a lawyer not long ago, 3 years ago. I did a service call for him late at night, and he said, "Now, Dan, this is going to get you a free get out of jail card." I said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "Well, you're always in trouble in school, and when you get thrown in jail in the future or something, I'll get you out." I said, I was never, and I wasn't a troublemaker. I didn't throw spit wads and call teachers.
I don't know what Dan's slipping now on you guys.
Well, he had the clean haircut, remember?
Yes,
Yeah, well, don't let that deceive you.
Yeah, don't.
I've got a story. I got one. Lamont Beach was our principal, and rest his soul. But anyway, about 20 years ago, Dana and I were going up to the football stadium at Friendship because his daughter Cheryl worked there in that system. And I had the kids, I think, with me and everything. And I saw Lamont, and I was going to go over and shake his hand. And look, everybody's with me, and he acted like he didn't know me. He spun me around, looked at my rear, and said, "Oh, I recognize you." And they got a good kid. And I said, "Very funny, Lamont." But anyway,
Lamont did
God-
have humor.
yeah.
That's funny. Well, guys, thank you for coming on the show. We really appreciate it. So at this point, we like to ask you guys your parting words before Lisa says hers. So, Bobby, would you give us your parting words and we can say goodnight?
Stay close to the Lord.
yeah. Mine is, these are great friends. I love them dearly. And good friends, you never want to lose good friends.
That's probably what I would conclude with too. I mean, these people have been in my life since I was 7th grade, and it's unusual.
It is.
Good.
But he needs his ass kicked anyway.
So, right. All right. Y'all get in a fight right now. Who's going to win?
Oh my gosh. I think we'd all lay down and cry.
Yeah,
We know better.
Well,
You
you,
know,
you
we-
probably just give them your card, that get out of jail card. So they
Yeah.
stop with you.
You know, I told my kids, and I think they recognize this, and this was years ago. I said, I don't even have to hurt myself doing something. I can lay in bed and raise up too fast and hurt myself now. So I don't think there's much fight in these boys anymore.
No.
I've got a guy, that, I don't know, man, I don't know, maybe we should have invited him to be with, but, Jerry Mitchell, who he's been in my life since we started first grade together. I know him longer than I know some of my sisters. And so, I think that's really something to say. I think that's really saying something. I wonder how many people can say that. I don't know.
Yeah, not that many. Not that
You
many.
know, it's good to have friends that you can go, you know, they're going to be there anytime you need them. And that's, so I agree with what you said about, stay close to your friends too.
Absolutely.
good.
I've got 3 of my buddies since we were in elementary. So yeah, we're the same way. One's in Portland, Austin, one New Mexico, but we try to text each other, quite a bit and make phone calls. So, and actually Lisa and I went to a wedding last year. Was it last year? To one of our friends in New Mexico. So, but anyway, Miss Lisa, let's get this party words. So we can leave these guys, let them do some more reminiscing.
Well, again, thank you for coming on the show and being willing to travel and to spend a couple of hours with us. It really was just fun and delightful to watch your energy together and your camaraderie together. It's very clear that you love each other, that you respect each other. And I agree with you that what you have is a really precious and priceless gift. Don't take it for granted. You know, friends are the family that you actually get to choose, right? And
Right.
they're real important. Our friendships really shape us, and it's real heartwarming to be a witness to your friendship and to its longevity. And Michael and I have been friends for a long, long time as well. And they, like I said, it's just a gift. It really is. It's something
Indeed.
really appreciated and to be cherished and to treasure it. And I hope you guys get to see each other grow old and
We already have.
Older. I mean, older.
We're there.
hey, I'm about to turn 60 in 3 weeks, so you are not old. You're at the top end of middle age. Old is 80. You're not
It's all
there yet.
relative, right? Yeah, it's all relative.
I agree with you. Old as 80. That's when you're old.
Old
Yeah.
is 80. So no, you're not old. We're older. We're wiser. We're
There
well
you go.
seasoned.
There you go.
But thank you again. It's been so much fun to hang out with you guys, and come in July, and that way we can see you in person, and you can just continue this little party you have got on here.
That'd be fun.
Absolutely. You guys want to bring the wives back in since Lisa kicked them out?
Yeah, goodness. Come on.
Dang. Geraldine, go ahead. Do what?
This is the all-school reunion form. I've got it in front of each one of them.
There you go. So
Yeah.
we'll
Awesome.
hope that we get to see you guys. And again, we're probably gonna do the live show on Friday between 5 and 7 downtown. I think at the what's that brewery called? The coffee place. Yeah, it used to be the Quick Lunch.
Yeah.
So stop by and say hello and get on air with us. So anyway, guys, thank y'all and have fun. Be careful and
Thank you. Thank you.
And,
Enjoy.
safe travels to Lubbock and Denver, Harlan. So good night. Good night, Jordan. Good night. And I'm going to talk to you about the Hereford show. Cool.
Yeah.
Thumbs up,
Okay.
guns up.
Guns up. Go Tech.
Yep. Go and then go Knuckle.
Look at Bears.
Good night, guys. Thank
Good
you.
night.
Good night.
Well,
I'm here. Start back.
Yeah.
So long.
let's go drink another soda.
Yeah, let's have one.
Oh,
That was fun on a Friday night.
Yeah, that's awesome. I
Yeah.
know. Very, very sweet friendship. I wish that they had just let loose and just told
I
us
know. Just
we
but-
tried tried every which angle, you know.
I know. We tried. I know Dan. I was hoping he would take the lead on that, but it's okay. It was still a fun and funny show. It was a funny show as well, so it was good. And so, guys, thank you. It's a Friday night, but our next show is in 2 weeks on a Tuesday. I don't know what day it is, but it's going to be Formal Miss Texas, Lee K. Lau, Gabriel.
Oh, mhm.
Cup. So she's going to be on our show, and looking forward to speaking to her about the pageant and all that and what she had to do. And, so it'll be fun. Thank you guys.
Have a
So
good night, everyone.
peace and love. Peace and love. Good night.